With my podcast on the verge of going on strike due to the game releases, this also means our players in the AllforGrowth Videogame Draft have received some scores for the games they picked. Also, it's been a bit since the last draft update this time around, so I'm going to talk about events that happened in order since scores in games were traded around significant events. Starting with Ken Knows It, who drafted Avowed, which received a flat 8.0. Not a bad start, and Avowed not disappointing too much. While people said Avowed had amazing graphics and a decent combat system, it seemed that it fell short due to the story and characters' dialogue not really grabbing the attention of new players. But despite that, a lot of players still enjoyed the game, so you would have to make your own decision on if it deserved a higher score. Next we have Chaucer Sauce, who had Like a Dragon, Pirate Yakuza, and Hawaii, that scored an 8.2. Being a new addition to the critically acclaimed Yakuza series, the game definitely garnered high expectations. And to those expectations, Pirate Yakuza was well received, as it had the funny, goofy antics the series was known for, but it seemed to suffer score-wise, as it just seemed like a fun adventure with the character module. So it might just be a decent game that could go great on a wishlist waiting for a sale. Moving on, we have Grizz on 13th, who had Monster Hunterwilds, which received an 8.8. While the game's initial announcement gained the roars of hunters around the world, not everybody liked the way the game turned out, as some people felt the game, which is known for the monsters you hunt, simplified the gameplay for a larger audience. Along with optimization issues and issues on connecting with the community through its UI, a lot of things didn't help the score. Despite that, players still found the game fun, with movesets for weapons more polished and delivering a solid experience to the core gameplay. It seems that even with the negative things that came with the new release, Monster Hunter can still put up numbers. And next we have Easy, who drafted Split Fiction, which gained a 9.6. When getting the first game to score 9, and currently the highest scoring game in the draft. Split Fiction being another co-op game from Hazelight Studios that focuses on teamwork. From the creative scenarios the characters were thrown in, and how the game constantly changes its mechanics upon new sections, it seemed it was hard to find Split Fiction boring. And I also agree with the score because I played it too. With the only gripe I have with the game is that it requires another person to play, as there is no AI assistant to help. But if you play through the game's puzzles and sections, you can easily understand why that's the case. Either way, it looks like Wen might have an early Game of the Year contender. But considering what else is rumored to release this year, let's not add too much sauce on that. Now, after those scores were gained, we moved into the first draft challenge, which was going to be a spelling bee, but in the interest of fairness and equal opportunity, Commissioner Tripp changed it to Geoguessr. With the players testing their knowledge of the world and its cultures, it was a fierce competition, which you can check out the full challenge on the AllforGrowth YouTube channel, because the winner was Easy, showing how he got the nickname Mr. Worldwide, and displaying a real Kodak moment because his draft challenge reward was to power up Big Thief. And if you were paying attention to the board, Wen took the most obvious game at the time, snatching Grizz's 8.8 Monster Hunterwilds and swapping it with his Ninja Gaiden 4. While we don't know how Ninja Gaiden 4 might fare in the future, for now, Wen took the lead, having 2 solid games on his roster, and leaving Grizz, Strat, Surprise, and Numb to It All. Not really. Grizz wasn't really stressing, but I bet it doesn't feel good getting your well-earned 8.8 taken off your plate. So with the first challenge covered, there were still a few more events to go over. While everyone was waiting for the games they had expectations for, Ken Knows It was really waiting for a certain event, which was the Nintendo Direct on April 2nd, for the release of the Switch 2. So you see, in Ken's case, he had a problem. Ken grew up on Nintendo, which means he didn't come up with GTA, Call of Duty, or Halo, so he's all about Nintendo games, just without the negative traits that are usually paired with Nintendo fans. But here's where it starts to get wicked. Ken hits up Commissioner Tripp's phone, telling Tripp to lock him in for Hollow Knight Silk Song in exchange for South of Midnight a week before the Nintendo Direct. And as if he had complete certainty, during the Direct, Nintendo announces that Mario Kart 9, or in this case Mario Kart World, was coming to the Switch 2 in June 2025. Along with another Donkey Kong game, Donkey Kong Bonanza, coming July 17th. And like a Marvel character coming back to life, Hollow Knight Silksong comes back saying, "I'm locked in for 2025. And while seeing all this happening, Grizz calls Trip in the middle of the night and says, "Pencil me in for Donkey Kong Bonanza." But here's where it gets wicked again! While Grizz made a declaration for Donkey Kong, Ken pulled up later asking for Donkey Kong in exchange for Little Nightmares 3. Cause the issue here is Grizz made an incomplete trade request, only saying that he wanted Donkey Kong, but never said which game he was taking off the board, giving Ken just enough leeway to get Donkey Kong for himself. After this happened, Ken said he knew it was dirty and made the statement, "Last year I was weakened by a child that softened my heart." So now Ken has 2 Nintendo games, with a Pokemon game coming out on a stronger system, and the newest Hollow Knight game possibly being released in the same year. Damn. But he didn't get everything. Choss picked up South of Midnight that Ken no longer had in exchange for his Five Nights at Freddy's game that later gained a 7.5, placing him currently in second. And Grizz is still in the game with the first Berserker Kazan getting an 8.0, tying him with Ken. A lot of moves were made, and if there is an upside to Ken's gains for other contestants, is that Ken still needs to win draft challenges to protect his lineup. So considering Ken has never won a draft challenge since it was introduced, Choss and Wen might be a problem. Or we can hope them tariff prices affect those game reviews. But we'll see how that shakes out, cause Commissioner Tripp already had the next challenge lined up, which is a 2v2 match in Overcooked 2, which means there'll be 2 winners for this challenge, and that could completely change the game again. Fortunately, that's all I got, cause with more games like Expedition 33 around the corner before Nintendo and Death Stranding's month, who knows what's coming next. So stay tuned on the AllforGrowth Skyline YouTube channel and their other social medias to get the latest on the draft. And maybe sub to my channel to get my reporting and my own takes. Either way, thanks for watching.